Yes, Assalamualaikum and welcome back. Now we look at this condition in Unsafe Act. So what is the Unsafe Act? There are so many things that can be discussed here. First of all, like unsafe. Hang on. Like what we can say, illegal or we say unsafe use of forklift. So there is a verb when we describe act. So next we can see from here, not wearing PPE, helmet. And what, standing under load, heavy load. We can say this guy, or we can see this all, okay, basically under this heavy load. And unsecure, and perhaps there's some unsafe condition, unsecured, heavy load. Remember the adjective and then the noun. So this is a very serious uh, offense. Perhaps because of the pressure from the management or the assistant or from the manager, they want to move this quickly. That's why it is important to have a very good safety measure. So if any places that don't have a designated safety health officer, this kind of thing can often happen. So this is very dangerous and can cause a serious injury and fatality. Like this one, I believe they they were just joking, and I don't think they were serious. But still, this is considered as horseplay, whereas you don't do this kind of joke in the work area. Although you are unsure this machine is not plugged in, but doing something like this can cause a lot of serious injury. And not not only considering the cutting machine could have remaining power to just start, or you see that this guy is in awkward position. There's a heavy load on his uh, back, so awkward position. This guy already wearing a ear muff. That's the requirement, and maybe safety boots. I don't see the safety goggle, but this is considered as Unsafe Act, which is horseplay. This is also a condition of or Unsafe Act, where improper use of a ladder, working at height without proper staging, for example. So one bad move, this guy could fall and succumb to a very serious injury, like this one in this picture. A Unsafe Act, using extension or a breach, improper basically reaching to far area, between gaps without a proper, you can say, breach, safety breach. So the ship could move uh, or displace due to the uh, wave, and then this guy could fall into the gap and get crushed. Uh, so this is like want to solve something very quickly, or they have been doing this for a long while, but nothing would happen. But this is something that you should never do. That put uh, yourself or other people in under a lot of risk. Next, we see here Unsafe Act. So many that we can list here. Uh, First, improper attire, just wearing t-shirts, and then we can get more detail. Not wearing safety shoe. Not wearing welding helmet. What else? So this is condition, maybe like the domino theory or Heinrich theory. This is perhaps caused by the mentality of the worker, which has been practicing unsafe act. Okay, perhaps he who did not have a proper training and perhaps did not have a proper qualification using the tools or these welding tools. So he could just uh, working with his father, okay, or family or brother. So when we do investigation, we will find out a lot of things. What caused for this worker or this contractor to work like this. So so let's look at this. Okay, this is the uh, combination of unsafe condition, unsafe act, and the consequences. Here we still have the situation where the cargo is transferred from ship to the dockyard. You can see the unsafe condition. This is rusty, buckle, uh, we can see rusty crane buckle. So it is like very important, okay, to check the equipment properly and then do a regular check. That's why important to have a regular audit. That's the function or the responsibility of safety health officer to advise, to give a checklist to all of the workers who take care or responsible for the equipment. And here there's an unsafe act. There's several things that we can see here. Okay, first, walking under heavy load. Then what? Can say because this is the working area in ship. Okay, usually they will have to wear helmet. Okay, not wearing safety helmet. So consequences due to the some unsafe act or an unsafe condition. So the object could fall down. So if the object did not hit, okay, the workers walking under the load, so do we call that as a near miss? Still, we have to report. Okay, this case, okay, even near miss. So the next action is to report and to report to the SHO, and then the SHO will evaluate and find out what is the cause of the uh, accident or the near miss. And if worst thing to happen in the accident, the load fall down onto the worker and then can cause serious injury or casualties. Now look at this one. The weak condition, worn out ropes. So see the adjective and then the noun combined with unsafe act. What you can see here, standing near to high tension rope. Okay, that is here. Says standing close to high tension ropes. Sometimes the condition or the act needs further description. But when you explain about unsafe act, okay, there must be verb keywords. When you explain about unsafe condition, there must be noun and adjective. So due to the one off ropes, so the rope could snap and miss the worker. So that is near miss. But the accident, okay, the rope could snap and roll, crack the leg of the worker and cause serious injury. So that's the difference between some difference between unsafe act and unsafe condition. So remember how to differentiate. For unsafe act, the keyword, there must be verb keywords to explain it. And for unsafe condition, you use noun and adjective. Okay, so we carry on with the next topic. In the next topic is about machine hazard. Okay, in a lot of the laboratories, there are equipments, heavy machines, whereas require very careful knowledge before you can operate. So in mechanical, when we talk about mechanical hazard, so it basically associated with power driven machine, and this machine either manually or actuator operated devices. Okay, actuator operated devices like motor or linear motor and so on. So this machine basically designed to perform certain tasks like drilling, cutting, shearing, punch, chipping, stamping, to name a few. Uh, so they are used to alter the materials, okay, to do work on materials such as metals, composite, plastic, and such. So for this machine or mechanical machine, okay, usually it comes with safeguard. Uh, Safeguard in terms of mechanical safeguard, or like fencing, okay, or mechanic or guarding or switch, okay, or even signage. Signage also can be a part of the safeguard. Okay, we will look into that. Okay, hang on. So this machine has no brain. This machine, whatever inside the lab, they have they cannot think for themselves. They just operate when you give power and stop when you release the power. so they cannot differentiate danger, or they have no intuition. So human must use all this machine carefully. Okay, these are the examples of machines. For example, here we have a drilling bits, or we call as rotating drill bits. So that's the hazard. It is described in this process, and the possible consequences is winding, entanglement, and drawing. That's why um, uh, for many, this is the reason why, like, it is not allowed to, okay, uh, for men to have a long hair, or for women you have to use okay, actually you have to use scarf or whatever to cover your hair, okay, not letting your hair free before using the machine. And sometimes some lab, okay, they insist of you to use, okay, the lab suit or lab attire. And okay, by using this machine, usually you are not be careful when you wearing glove, to not to allow any windings, okay, and only operate, okay, the drilling bits uh, when the drilling an item, when your hand, okay, is far away. Right. Next, we see have here uh, rotating wheels. Basically, rotating wheels or mechanical wheels. That's the hazard. But to basically, if this rotating wheel is secured or have a fencing, so we don't have to. I mean, there's no serious concern. But when we identify the hazard, we could be like expose rotating wheels without the proper guarding. So the possible consequences due to the hazard, the same could be winding, entanglement, impact, and crushing, because this rotating wheel is heavy basically, and they have gaps where you can get into, and then you crush your hand. And here we have a rotating grinder. Usually a grinder is covered, okay, missing. So when you identify the hazard, you can say, or even uh, with a proper grinding, but we can still say it is a hazard. Okay, rotating grinder. It could cause entanglement, abrasion, drawing in, burning. So this, okay, how to overcome? You can use glove and projection. Sometimes, okay, some part of the grinder bit or grinder rotating grinder will chip, and basically projected to to the user. Oh. Next here we have a rotating roller press. This is a rotating roller press. So is the possible consequences like drawing in, crushing, or burning. And this one is like a rotating arm robot. So the hazard or the causes could create an impact or crushing. So that's why when installing a robotic arm, there must be a clearance area, marking area, to avoid people from getting near to the robot hand. So this robot hand has no brain. It will only work based on the instruction. And here we have a rotating spinning barrel, like the one that we have in our dryer or our cloth, basically the cloth rinser or washing machine. So there is a rotating barrel. So that's the hazard. So it can cause drawing in or abrasion. Okay, and then this is like the grinder plate, and it could cause stabbing, projection, or burning or impact. So some bit of the grinding plate could fly. Okay, basically it could projected off and then go into worst case it go into our eyes. Okay, so that's why that's very important to use safety goggle, and this is the moving stamper or cutter. So it can cause crushing, sharing, severing, or also some cases it could projection. And here we have a rotating gear. Okay, that's the hazard. You can see here the consequences: the cutting, severing, projecting in, and then see the punching needle can cause also cutting, severing, projection, and this is a rotating gear also, and this is a rotating auger screw, rotating auger screw. It could cause winding, entanglement, impact, and drawing in, and so on. This is a moving extender. You can see the possible injuries. It's a moving platform. Moving platform, there are gaps. Okay, it could cause crushing, sharing, severing, and this one is a rotating belt, a conveyor belt basically. It can cause crushing, severing, tearing out, severing, impact, drawing in, and this is a rotating chain, drawing in, crushing, tearing out, severing, and impact. Not really 100% sure what is this object. Okay, but it's like this one is like a nail gun. So I mean, so this is basically a nail gun. So the hazard is can cause stabbing, punching hole, projection, and this one like a narrow space between the workplace and the wall, which can cause impact crushing. So why do machine accident happen? These are the possibilities. Okay, in some cases, reaching in to clear equipment, like when something got stuck into the machine, okay, into the gear, okay, and then the machine will suddenly stop. So sometimes people will like try to clear it out. Okay, they try to reach or try to get the stuck object in between the gear, and when they pull it out, the machine will immediately continue to rotate. So and then drawing in together the worker or the person inside the rotating gear or the rotating wheel, for example, or for other example. So that's why when and something gets stuck or stopped suddenly, the first thing, okay, not to panic. Okay, people reach in to clear equipment because they panic. So you need to be to calm down and then turn off uh, the power supply. Turn off the power supply. Don't basically panic. Next, unauthorized person doing maintenance or using the machine. So in sometimes a student, especially where I notice, they like to invite friends to the lab to use the equipment, and that friends, okay, have no knowledge of using, and maybe just learn that from from YouTube, or without a proper uh, training hour, without a proper using equipment. Okay, so cases happen. For example, in one of the lab in UTM, okay, there were a postgraduate student, a girl, came to the lab with her brother. So she was hoping that her brother to help her with the machine. And then that machine is actually a stamping machine, big stamping machine. I think it was using to compress material, test the uh, integrity of the sample. So so we two people were using it, and not the other one had no experience. So so there were miscommunications, and that student hand got crushed when her brother don't exactly know when or how or to press the button. So that's why uh, to have a good mentality or safety level, okay, don't just think about friendship, you must think about safety. So if your friend want to use, okay, go through the proper channel. Usually UTM will allow student they don't have problems, student to use equipment, if especially when they have a proper application, or asking permission properly. But when student get caught, okay, don't feel that okay people will try to pull your leg or try to stop you from using it, and then you feel offended. Well, basically, it's all about safety. Okay, accident happens, especially when you think without putting the safety first. Other than that, like missing or lose machine guards, that's why very important. It not sometimes when you do maintenance of your equipment. Okay, that's your equipment. Never mind, and then you know how it works, and then you remove the guard, and then you forgot to put it back. And sometimes people okay purposely remove the machine guard because they feel uncomfortable. Okay, like many people do. I notice, like for example, okay, uh, misuse of fire extinguisher for door stopper. Yeah, some of the college building, okay, residential college buildings, or okay, they have auto closed door. So the main purpose of the auto closed door is for safety, fire safety. But student will okay, take the fire extinguisher and then use as a stopper, or sometimes they use like a big stone, okay, to to stop the door, just because of your convenience. So that is not a good mentality. Uh, so you have to think about safety. So even every time we remove, and then this will thing happen again. So we must have a first world mindset when we think about safety. Lack of training, so that is very important to have training. Don't uh, wait to be trained. Ask for the training. Okay, don't be shy or don't get embarrassed if you don't know. Okay, learn it. Okay, uh, consider for the sake of the safety, not only for yourself, for other people. Okay, if you don't know how to use the machine, okay, you may break it, and then other people when they come, when they use it, and then accident happen to them. Okay, and then not using lockout tag out. Okay, we'll explain about that. Lockout tag out, what does it mean by lockout tag out? It has to do with when the machine is malfunctioning, uh, the last person have to lock or secure it so that no one will use it afterwards after it just malfunctioned. Okay, a safeguard is to eliminate reduce exposure. Remember the hierarchy control measure. Okay, remember the control measure, the pyramid. Okay, the pyramid, there are 5 levels. Okay, what's the lowest one? PPE. What's the second one? What's the top one? ISO. Uh, elimination. Elimination. Second one, isolation. Third one, uh, engineering control. And this one is like the management. 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 So in this, what I'm trying to say here is safeguard. When we use safeguard, there's a term here, eliminate, but eliminate is basically not the case lah. Eliminate in this control measure is here. For if you're using safeguard is engineering control. Okay, where we use engineering measure to create a safeguarding system, okay, when using an equipment. Okay, basically is to reduce. If you want to say eliminate, totally eliminate, basically you outsource. Okay. So a good rule to remember: any exposed or moving part when machine is in operation can cause injury. Okay, for sure. Okay. Anything that is exposed, okay, it has risk. And you have to make a okay. Basically, you have to provide a countermeasure. Point of operation refer to the area of the machine is performed of the material being processed. Okay, basically, that is referring to the workplace or the place where you do the job. So there are several ways to safeguard machine and equipment. It can be listed here. First is point of operation guard, point of operation device, safeguarding by location, personal protective equipment, log out, tag out. And now we look into the point of operation guard. So this kind of control measure is come out with from the manufacturer. Usually the manufacturer will already put in place this point of operation guard. So the equipment. So that's why when so the latest good management style in manufacturing, when in the management or in the engineering meeting, so they want to buy a new equipment, okay, they must invite the safety health officer, or they must consider safety and health occupation issue. So for sure, if we buy equipment, okay, like what we see in the picture here, okay, there are safeguarding, the cost is high, but the risk is low. So that's why if you want to reduce the risk, you have to invest. Okay, some company, okay, they are very irresponsible. They will go for very cheap, okay, equipment, okay, without proper guarding. Then there are interlock guarding. So also another type of point of operation where the guarding is actually on the, yeah, like here there's an interlock guarding and adjustable guard. Provide this in this picture, provide a barrier which may be used to facilitate a variety product operation. So the adjusting guard technically in some situation it will not allow the bend saw or cutting part or cutting part of the machine, okay, to be too close to the operator. So this is the usage or the purpose of the adjustable guards. This is also another other types of point of operation device. So this is a number of different point of operation device that can be used to protect workers. Okay, as you can see, um, um, here you can see that there's a control button. When to operate this machine, so the operator have to put their hand on the control button. Same similar like this B. Okay, the machine will never work if the two lever is moved or pull from the side of the operator. So whenever it release, machine will definitely stop, and then the operator can adjust the material, in between, okay, the pressing part. So okay, when they have properly adjust, okay, the material, so the operator can pull the two control lever. So that's why I have to monitor carefully. Don't let them or you or operator to use this machine with two different using two different peoples. One adjusting the material, one controlling the lever. That's what happened, okay, in one of the lab in UTM, because there were two people using stamping machine. So miscommunication could happen easily. Okay, like this one machine, as you can see, okay, there are pulling mechanism, okay, for point of operation device. And this one, there's a nylon strap on the worker. But of course, when we want to have this kind of safety measure, control engineering control measure, you have to think of the cost, practicality, okay, cost. Company will always, okay, ask, so whether this is affordable for them to maintain. Okay, like this one, this machine have a belly bar. It put so it will like uh, avoid the operator from getting near to the moving parts of the machine. So the worker will always have to work behind this belly bar. And this one is a light curtain using a photodiode. Okay, the device, there are optical device that shut down the machine whenever the light field is broken. When when okay, the photodiode doesn't receive any light, okay, because of the path or the light have been disturbed or cut off by the operator when they step into close to the machine, so it will automatically close. Okay, and this is the light, another system for robotic arm using a fence around it. Of course, this will also this system when we install is cost very costly. And this is a pressure sensitive safety mat. This is like a trip, and then also a pull wire. It's a safety trip safety tip control provide basically a quick means for deactivating the machine in an emergency situation. So for example, a pressure sensitive body bar like before we have seen, and then when depressed will deactivate the machine. And next here, the safe operating by location or distance. The operator the controls may be located at safe distance from machine if there is no reason for the operator to turn it. So the machine or the basically the hazard is placed in a safe condition, so the user so the worker and the personnel will not get close to the basically to the hazard. Okay, then personal protective equipment, this is a part of the control measure. And remember that this is PPE is the least effectiveness or least effective measure, PPE. Okay, so this PPE may have to be used, okay, when you are using the machine. Some example goggle, or which is the eye protection, okay, face protection, hearing equipment, okay, for noisy, and hand protection like glove. So that's why very important to have a sticker, okay, or signage on the machine as a reminder before the user can operate. They can see signage, the proper signage. Want you to use this equipment, you must wear eye protection. Take out, lock out. So this is a measure. So this is like not engineering. So this is like, you see, remember again. Try to like link to what you have seen the previous. Okay, so this is the management or the administrative control which change the way people work. So the process of take out, lock out, this is a control measure, okay, of administrative control. So how it work when, so this is the purpose is to protect people in the workplace from malfunctioning equipment. So usually, when the machine is malfunctioning or broken and need to be repaired, so we take out and lock out the machine. So no one can use it unless by force they remove the take out and remove the lock. So there are some common sense that you have to consider. Follow the machine safe operating procedure. That is most important. SOP of the machine safe operating procedure. Usually it comes with the equipment and not manual. Some manual. It has described with how to use it safely. Do not use the machine unless you are trained. You're not sure, get your training before use the machine. Never start a machine unless required, because PPE is on and is used and you are wearing appropriate clothing. Check yourself. Don't operate or handle any machine until you use your safe you wearing the proper PPE. And don't think that you are you are invincible. Never going to get hurt. So if you see a big machine or moving machine, always keep away from the machine. Do not remove or adjust any guards. They are purposely there for your protection. So even though you feel that very uncomfortable, there is a guarding that hindering your process work. So do not alter it unless if it is causing a lot of, for example, jamming. So you can report to the safety health officer. The safeguarding is actually causing much more problems, so they have to rectify or improve the design. Don't when you use working on rotating equipment, do not use wear clothes according to your size, not too big, of course not too small. Make sure that your clothing is according to your size. If you have long wear, long hair, especially the lady, uh, which who are not wearing hijab, you have to wear hairnet. So if like student wearing hijab, I think they have to put on uh, put on the jacket, the lab jacket lah, to to avoid your hijab, okay, from to go into the machine. I think there is no problem if you put something on your hijab, so that doesn't. Well, but I think most of the lab doesn't allow student to wear. But you look into the requirement. Do not try to repair broken machine unless you are certified. You are the mechanics. That's different thing. Yeah. Okay, do not clean moving parts. Try to to be uh, uh, clever, to clean the drilling bits, for example. Okay, but when it's still drilling or turning, treat an unguarded machine as if it were out of order. Although the machine is still functioning, but if the unguarded safeguarding system is missing, do not use it. And then report the okay, and then report to the, and then do the proper basically report, or and then do not remove, take out labels. Okay, take out, and it is take out for a purpose, safety purpose. Okay, not letting anyone to use it. That is about the um, physical hazard. Now we come to check the you will have to into the physical hazard, and then settle, and then also the biological hazard, right? A noise is something also very important, especially in the working area. How do we measure noise? But first, you need to know what is sound. Sound is basically a form of energy that travel through the open space, okay, or medium. Not to outer space. There is no transferring medium. Okay, here, like when I say space is between the uh, open okay area, like a like in a hall, okay, in the open, even in the open area. So sound can travel through the media, okay, like air, even can travel in water. You can listen to sound whenever you get into the river or swimming pools. You still can hear sound, but depending on the source of the sound, okay, the level will be vary. And sound can be measured objectively, and but noise is a subjective phenomenon. Uh, Basically, noise is sound, but we classify sound something that is random, or something that is uh, coming out uh, coming out from a machine, for instance. But if sound coming out from radio is something that you desire, you want to listen, sound coming out from people or other people, that's basically the means of communication. But when people shouting erratically, so that you can treat that as a noise. But basically noise is unwanted sound, things sound that you don't very unpleasant, like machine, heavy machine, they usually make sounds while they operate. And then it can be measured using sound meter in terms of decibel. And actually, okay, your phone, your smartphone can measure decibel or sound level. You can download sound meter. Okay, you just Google for any apps or free apps. Technically, to measure the sound level, it actually measure the sound level based on your smartphone microphone. Okay, only the accuracy is not very accurate, but it is acceptable if you want to know the noise that coming out from a source. Okay, so this is actually the measurement of sound. Okay, when we talk about sound, we set the measure. The unit is decibel, and this is the sound that is for uh, different sources. For example, jet engine at 30 meter, so that the sound is 140 dB. That is very noisy. Pneumatic chipper, including what the uh, leaf blower. Okay, every time we listen, okay, in the morning, so that is 130 dB. When you are just near the leaf blower or the pneumatic chipper, pneumatic drill, and so on. So like our private office, our own office, or your room, basically 50 dB. That's the level. Library is 35. And there are like audio chamber that can go lower. And basically, when we say about this measurement of sound, uh, the we measure, okay, when we expose, okay, to this level of sound, there are three type of permissible exposure limit. Okay, there are TW, which is for short wave, and then the impulse noise, which the level is 140 dB, and ceiling limit 150 dB permissible. So the ceiling limit noise that we expose is 115 dB. Impulse means that there is a period. Okay, when we are exposed at 140 dB for like less, okay, than 1 minute, that's or just for a short period of time, that's okay. Okay, so what is the safe exposure level? So actually, the old standard saying that the safe operating level is 90 dB, but now it has been changed to 85 dBA. So there is a noise regulation. There's a regulation about noise under the OSHE. It just has been revised. 85 dB is the maximum permissible exposure. Continuous noise for 8-hour shift means that, okay, when you work in the factory, it is not allowed for any worker to be exposed to a noise continuously for 8-hour shift. So if this kind of thing thing happen, so what going to the control measure is administration control. So what they need to do is to adjust the work shift of the worker, and there are other way how to reduce or I mean to avoid the user from being exposed to this 85 dBA. We'll explain just shortly. And an exposure level of 82 dB, 82 dB regarded as the first action level at which worker must be informed and offer ear protection. So the worker have the right or have to be offered, okay, when the noise is reached 82 dB. So if still 82 dB, okay, we have no obligation to offer if it's below 82. But if it above 82 dB, we have to offer. But it's up to the worker. And if over 80 dB, the second action level step to protect the hearing exposed are mandatory, include provision of ear protection and reduction to exposure time. Okay, so there are two things here. First, provision of ear protection. Ear protection is PPE. And there are two control measures here. First is PPE. Number two is reduction of exposure time, which is admin control. So admin step in, okay, adjust the working shift, okay, or rotate or just 4 hours for somebody else. Okay, take care of the area or the working place. So, but when we use PPE, basically what happened when, okay, let's say in one case, if the noise is at 95 dB, okay, for sure we have to offer ear protection device. Okay, there are two types common: ear plug and ear muff. Okay, ear plug is like a cotton bud you put into the ears, and there's a NRR rating for noise reduction rate. Technically, the noise reduction rate for the ear plug is negative of 5. So it means that when worker use the ear plug, okay, the noise exposure will drop by negative 5. Okay, next is using ear muff. Ear muff, this is not ear muff. What use ear muff is something like the put on the ears, both ears. So that reduction or noise reduction rate is about negative 10. So with using the PPE, if the noise exposure is 95, so the exposure has reduced to 80 dB. So now, okay, worker can work at the working area which is very noisy. So very important. Okay, and from time to time, when this worker is exposed to this prolonged noise exposure, so they must go or perform the medical surveillance. Medical surveillance. Medical surveillance basically medical checkup, check their ears. So because sometimes, okay, if noise even at 80 dB, if you have been exposed too long for years, it could have a permanent effect. A permanent effect, a hearing loss. So it's called as NIHL, noise induced hearing loss. Okay. And for admin, to identify which place has this or have this noise level, they have to do the noise mapping of the workplace. So the simplest thing to do is to use the device or your smartphone, download an apps, and then mark the area, and when the machine is working, write down the level of noise at the certain spot, and then you have basically a noise mapping. Okay, so control measure other than that, like isolation. Do isolation, uh, where you carefully put the system, a wall that dampen the sound. So but that's very costly. Isolation. I forgot that the control. There are one, two, say subset. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay, this is maybe a quick information on you how to be a safety of officer. This is because of the question from other last time the student. They were asking me how to be a safety health officer. So first, you have to not necessarily working for a company, but even though you are not working for a company, you still now you can take the course, the SHO certification course offered by NIOSH or offered by there's in UTM. There's a company Unbox Sindiran Berhad. Because I had my training there, and then the cost take about 2,000 to 3,000, and then you can sit down for that full week, few weeks for full day, full day mode, or part time for about 3 months, and then in 3 years you have to sit for the exam, and then also the exam you have to sit at NIOSH, and there are 4 papers: objective, subjective, and workplace assessment. And then you have to present. You have to present your work place assessment. It's like an assignment. And if you are a chemical engineering student or chemical engineering degree, you also can be another safety health officer with a special it's called as chemical health risk assessment, CHRA. And CHRA, they are called as hygiene tech 1, hygiene tech 2, and the medical doctor. uh, OSD, but OSD is basically people with the medical degree. So in when you do medical surveillance, you have to go to the OSD, or occupation health doctor. So and this doctor are certified. And let's say this OSD identifies someone from anywhere, sustain an injury. So this OSD or occupational health doctor is obligated to report to the DOSH. Otherwise, they will be penalized. Sorry. Like I said, so for anyone who is exposed to noise more than at 85 dB, I have to go for medical surveillance to check for the auditory test every 3 months. So there are a regulation under the OSHE, Occupational Safety Health Act, noise suppression. So if anyone find sorry, have to for sorry, if there any offense, the fine will be not exceeding penalty 1,000 ringgit. Remember, it could be fine about 999, but not 1,000. So not exceeding. And this medical, when anyone exposed to noise more than 85 dB, they have to go through the medical surveillance. And their medical surveillance have to be kept, or the record have record for 30 years. Okay, 30 years, the record. For any, but sorry, this is not the case. The case about noise risk. Okay, the noise risk, anything that about the noise risk in the working place, okay, the record, including the medical surveillance, must be kept. Okay, 30 years. And then auditory, test, okay, medical surveillance to workers that exposed to noise. So the implication of noise, they when exposed to long exposure of noise at a exceeded level, a person could sustain NIHL. So NIHL is called noise induced hearing loss. And in more details, there are conductive hearing loss. Basically, there's a mechanical rupture or dislocation on the eardrums and bones in the middle ear, or neural hearing loss. It can cause hearing loss due to auditory nerve. So this is for neural hearing loss because of the nerve. So this is quite permanent, quite severe. I would say severe, much severe. And conductive hearing loss, it can be treated, and then go through some treatment process and could recover the hearing capability. But neural hearing loss is quite severe, a bit serious. For example, exposure to noise level at 130 dB for a long time can cause the swelling of hair cell of organ inside the ear, and then it will destruct the cell, inside the ear, and it is basically erasive. It cannot be reversed. So PPE, like what I have explained, the PPE, ear muff or earplugs, or the combination. Can you use either earplug or ear muff or combination. Okay, so every PPE have their NRR or noise reduction rating. um, so this is the NRR is the guideline, the amount of protection can be given by hearing gear, hearing protection gear. uh, so if like the uh, equipment say the NRR can be reduced by 50 percent, like let's say we have this example, the environmental noise level at 92 dB, and then the NRR is 36 dB, which is reduced by 50%, and then become uh, 13 dB. So the equipment say NRR by 50%. Means that it can reduce. Okay, this is the final value. The NRR rating is 26 dB, but basically reduced to 50%. So if the environment noise is 92 minus 30 dB is, so the final exposure or the level noise that coming into the ear is 70 dB, which is below than uh, even below than 85 dB. Yeah. Exposure limit a lot for more than 8 hours. 82 dB is the first action. 82 dB is still allowed, but the worker is have to be offer ear protection gear. uh, so usually the lab will provide the protection gear. So if you still don't feel any difference if using the PPE or the hearing or the personal protecting equipment or hearing protection gear, okay, just inform the school. So that is noise. Now we come to this part, which is the fire hazard. But to me, fire is not actually a hazard, but it's actually an incident. But it's a popular term to use the term wire. Sorry, the term fire with hazard. Now you need to know the mechanism, how a fire can uh, happen, or what are the elements. So basically, so basically, fire hazard are conditions that favor fire development or growth. Means that there are three things or three elements that require to start a sustained fire. Three elements. If these three elements is not there or not enough, there wouldn't be a massive or aggressive fire. So those the three element, okay, is oxygen, and oxygen is almost available, okay, and, and then fuel. Almost everything in the environment can burn, including the wood, uh, like the petrol, okay, diesel gases, so that is basically a purpose for combustion. Okay, but yeah, and anything like plastics, even composite, some composite. So at some point it could burn. And then heat, given a sufficient high temperature, almost anything will burn. Even some material can burn at low temperature. And when these three is combined, okay, oxygen, okay, plus fuel plus heat, okay, is actually combustion process. And combustion is the process by which the fire converts fuel and oxygen into energy, usually in the form of heat. So what we see is fire and also smoke. Hazard. There's also smoke. So for the fire to start, okay, even if we have these three, or we have this heat is, for example, spark or open flame or very intense heat, okay, like in an enclosure exposed under the sunlight. So the heat will rise. Okay, even if you put together fuel or and oxygen, okay, basically oxygen in open space. But if there is no heat, source of heat, okay, fire wouldn't happen. So to eliminate this, or to control the fire, we need to eliminate one of the sources. Like for example, eliminate the source of heat, the light or sunlight or the spark from electric uh, short circuit, electric short circuit. Like this is an example of fire hazard. You see here, unattended cooking stove. So it is very unwise to cook and then leave. So every time you cook, you must stay at the cooking place until the food is ready or the food is properly cooked. Okay, here, you can see here at the bottom it's overload or overload electric connection. Okay, too much extension. Okay, put on a socket wall, electric socket wall. So it's basically uh, have a every socket wall have a maximum rating, maximum limit. Then here we have unattended ironing, clothes ironing. Next, we have fire matches. Okay, the Unsafe Act. Okay, playing with fire matches. And then here have Unsafe Act also, covering electrical heat source. Okay, because you want to quickly dry your clothes, you put on top of the heater. Next, here we have smoking cigarette indoors. Okay, so that is basically smoking is a bad habit, and make worse if you smoke inside doors. It will it actually will be a source of heat. And see, the fuel is the newspaper, and then combined with the oxygen in the exposed air, it will cause fire. So in every cases, there are source of heat and also fuel. Like this ironing is the source of heat is the iron, and the fuel is the cloth, the material, the polymer, and then combined with the air, it will create combustion. So let's see the process of combustion. Whereas the try the fire the fire converts fuel and oxygen into energy, and then a fire will come out and also smoke. This is all fire hazard, but uh, basically obstructing the fire exit. That is the issue here. This is a fire exit, but there is a TV set put on the fire exit. So this is basically a fire or hazard, especially during the fire emergency. Here, or improper or unsafe condition, which is illegal wiring connection. We say illegal. Illegal is a much proper word. Illegal electric connection, because you want to quickly get the power supply. Okay, you use bypass. So this is illegal. Right. This is also Unsafe Act. Okay, exposing the basically this is what you have a fuel, oxygen. This is the canister. Okay, or welding. So this is source of heat. Okay, heating up the. It could be hydrogen and oxygen. But usually when the tank is full, it is okay, most unlikely to blow. But when the pressure or the this is empty, whereas the pressure inside the both tank is equivalent to the outside atmosphere, means that there is the gas is still there, or in both case containers. And so and then when there's a leaking, so that it could cause explosion. The fire lead to explosion. So technically fire can affect both human and properties. Uh, uh, it could lead to other hazard, which is like smoke. So usually fire victims, they die not because of the fire, they die because of suffocation. They inhale heavy smoke. Heavy smoke when there's a when fire, everything when things uh, burning, so there are smokes. Basically, smokes exit very thick smoke. So usually fire victim die because of suffocation. Especially, and then when this smoke it comes into the air, it will deplete the oxygen, then will suffocate the people in the area. And the number one killer in fire is carbon monoxide, which is produced in virtually all fire, including organic compound. And this carbon monoxide is produced in large volume and quickly reach little dosage concentration. Like it is especially in combustion. Uh, there are many cases where people park their car like in the resting area because of the tired, and then they turn on the AC. When you turn on the AC, you have to turn on the car. So unfortunately, the car air conditioning system or the ventilation is basically have some is compromised. They have some uh, holes or basic puncture or something. So the gas or from the exhaust can come into the car. So there are many cases where people sleep at the resting area. So eventually they have been exposed to the carbon monoxide slowly and then die because of the carbon monoxide poisoning. So direct contact with flame is obviously dangerous to human. Can cause the burn. That, like I said, burning is not the major cause of death, but usually due to suffocation. This is type of burn: first degree, second degree, and third degree. So third degree basically very deep. Okay, so this is very important. Fire is classified based on the nature of the fuel. Type A is basically fire caused by solid fuel, including like wood, building decoration, furnishing, fabric curtains, okay, like our curtain. Okay, so they are type A. Textile A can be treated with fire or flame retardant chemical to reduce their flammability lah. Okay, wood of textile can be treated flame retardant chemical. Type B is basically this flammable liquids or flammable gases. Sometimes it's called inflammable lah, maybe referring to the same thing. So any liquid or flammable liquid or flammable gases, they have the flash point, which is the lowest temperature when they expose combined with the oxygen, okay, and then they combust. So that's why important to know the flash point of the liquid. Flash point. Flash point is basically the minimum temperature. So it's important to measure the temperature of the storage. Some liquid, they have very low flash point. Even some like sodium metal, very low flash point. Okay, when exposed to ambient temperature, they can react. Sodium. Okay, type C is electrical fire, like extension cord, multiple plug adapter. So this is caused by the properties, okay, from electrical appliances. Type D, combustion metals such as magnesium, titanium, potassium, and sodium. Itu type D. So that's metal, not liquid. So type D, like sodium, magnesium, very reactive. Sodium, magnesium, very reactive. Even sodium, when exposed to atmosphere temperature, it can react, can abruptly explode, basically. So those are type D. Fire. Fire extinguisher system, they can be local or central. This one, we are talking about central. Central using fire hydrant, fire protection system, and also use the detection system. But be careful if you want to use sprinkler system. Like if you suggest a sprinkler system inside the storage room where you can keep your, like say, server or important document, so that is very, That will cause an other type of hazard, okay, to your properties, okay, water damage, basically. Instead of one want to solve or avoid any fire, it could cause other problem, which is water damage. So you have to be very careful. Okay. So fire detection system, okay, there are uh, thermal expansion detector, there are photoelectric fire sensors, ionization or radiation sensors, or infrared detectors. Those are the types of fire detection system that available. Uh, so usually our like in our culture, people in Malaysian people don't like to use this smoke detector because they usually cook. Okay, something they like to stir fry whatever, and it can create smoke, and then it will ignite. So, that's really one of the issue lah. Malaysian people don't like to use smoke detector, but it is very important to use smoke detector actually. And then there are localized extinguishing system like a fire extinguisher, depending on the class A, B, C, and D. And then firefighting equipment like axe, fire bucket. And the fire extinguisher is labeled with the letter to classify, okay, the fire that you are dealing with. Like for example, type A for ordinary combustion fire caused by, uh, uh, for example, wood or textile burning. Flammable liquid, okay, like fuel, gases, electric equipment. C, carbon, basically. Uh, uh, um, B basically uses, I think, powder type. Uh, so for type B can be suitable for flammable liquid and usually suitable for any kind of fire. Uh, and then there are C, the electric, is based on carbon dioxide. It is basically reducing the oxygen level and cooling. Okay, and then D, it's very rare to find the D, fire extinguisher. Usually we can find A, B, and C. Control measure, so to prevent fire, you have a personal responsibility to prevent the fire. Obey the rule, regulation, sign of safety. Okay, these are the things, okay, that you have to be familiar with the fire emergency procedure. That's why important in any organization to have the fire uh, emergency response exercise, like evacuation, evacuation or drill or evacuation exercise. And then you know to about the firefighting equipment, know how to save, see the fires, and you know the right authority lah. In UTM, basically you call this security. So what's the action, okay, you need to do if the fire is too large? Well, in the case of fire, you need to remain calm, act quickly. So you need to survive, and then there are ways. I will show you a video lah, basically. Okay, two videos in case of fire. What you to do in UTM lah, basically. Hang on, let me. So this is video basically my college we provide this video as preparedness for student. Uh, I have a plan to make it compulsory for new student to watch this video before they register. So that's my plan. Uh, so this is like a measure or effort. So student alert, especially on the incident of fire. So we are running off time. We need to continue. Like what you have seen in the video, in case of fire, you have to. There are emergency response team in every department or school or even in the college, residential college. So in any case of fire, you have to come down, and then if the fire is small, you have to um, try to extinguish if the fire is small. If it, and and you need to know uh, kind of fire, and then the proper way how to turn off the fire. Like for example, if the fire is caused by cooking oil or while cooking, and then there are coil, you cannot use water. What you need to do is put the lid, okay, on your pan or stove that is burning, and then you close it slowly lah, for example. And then if the fire is too large, leave quickly, and then call the security we call the uh, uh, emergency or the fire brigade. And these are some of the measure like you can follow. If you close or catch on fire, try to stop, drop, and roll, and don't use the elevator or lift. If there are smokes in the stair, try to avoid. If that's the only exit, okay, crawl. Don't stand. Okay, move as slow as possible. Okay, don't stand. Okay, if you're standing, the chances of you to inhale smoke is much larger or higher. Uh, so and then fire look hazard. I think we need to look at this quickly. I think just start to talk about it, and then tomorrow we'll resume what is biological hazard. Basically, biohazard refer to organism or organic matter produced by organism that are harmful to human health. Uh, this organism, it can be living things and or microorganism. So this biohazard, okay, the exposure, it can be transmission, vector borne or airborne, uh, route of entry means that you uh, get into our respiration uh, system lah. Okay, get into our mouth, ear, and anything that actually opening in our body. Okay, uh, but okay, I think for this part, uh, I stop here. Tomorrow with 8 a.m. we resume, but we need to do. Uh, let's do Kahoot again. Okay, this Kahoot is related to the accident prevention. Okay, accident prevention. I think we have enough participants. Let's start accident prevention. Okay, so actually identify for the accidents. That's the actual uh, answer. Okay, this is actually then use of PP then not the then. Yeah, true. Remember the control, the control hierarchy of control, eliminate, substitute, engineering control, and this is PPE. So PPE is the least. Okay, Rizal. True, True. Next. Accident. Yeah, most of you got it right. Including accident. This is in the Hamlet uh, theory, causation theory. Next. Yes. Okay, next. So what is A and what is B in this statement? Yes. The severity of an accident is largely unpredictable. However, accident is largely preventable. Like even you involve a serious accident, but the injury, the severity may be small. Maybe you leave the accident unscathed. Okay, what is X? Okay, most of you got it right. Okay, Elino now in the lead. Okay, so unsafe condition. Okay, maybe I agree with some of you. Okay, substandard housekeeping is quite misleading, because there is a verb there's housekeeping. But housekeeping is can be described as a noun. Okay, housekeeping. Maybe I have to change this to substandard mm, arrangement of equipment also. Okay, I got you. But this is definitely unsafe act. Okay, it's supposed to be a poor housekeeping. Okay, we got confused with this question. Sorry, so it doesn't count for the two. Okay, last question.
Doctor, we can't see the options.
You should always check for damage to DPP after you
I
after
cannot
using
see
it.
the question.
You cannot see?
Yeah,
Cannot
you
see the
share
question.
other screen.
Oh, okay. Sorry, sorry. How about now? Yes. Right. Okay. Sorry about that. But this is just an exercise. So I see in terms of the unsafe act and unsafe condition, still need a lot of practice lah. But I think some of you still already got the idea on that. But uh, the key point is when we say unsafe act, we look at the process of the person doing something. What condition, we look at the environment. Or okay, environment, not on the action on the person. We are look into, like for example, on the condition, on the, if you look at the person lah, if you look at the other environment, workplace, we look. Okay, so I think thank you for today. We will inshallah tomorrow we start at 8 a.m. Okay, thank you very much everyone.